Thank you. Tarek?
I don't want to apologize to none of you. The political theater, the treating us like political property, freaking Gavin Newsom saying we owe y'all apologies. No, y'all owe all of us an apology. The stuff that we saw in the Capitol, Reggie Wilson acting like a clown because we know he is one, all the silly stuff that we saw is ridiculous. Understand there's going to be consequences beyond just political. I promise you that. So don't think that you're insulated. You're not. And I'm going to also make this very clear. You guys better move very, very, very carefully when you play with reparations. Because reparations is nothing to play with.
Thank you, Tarek.
That you guys can really get a organized accountability spreadsheet where the people and the public can see these are the concerns that the caucus has. These were the recommendations that were made, the 115. Give yourself a goal and an outline that the people can see. That way we can trust you guys more and know that if you guys have to take some type of secret oath, people talk about AIPAC and how Israel has impacted our government, the 535 congressmen and women that have to say an oath to Israel that that military is above the United States military. There's a lot of things that go on that people in the know, but some people don't know that we know. And if we need to protect you all, we will. Like the young man said, we will protect you guys. But you gotta give us some real accountability, a real website where we can see these are the concerns. These are the 115 recommendations. These are the members who have agreed to do this part, this part, this part. These are the members that are against doing this part, this part, this part. So that the people can talk to those members and say, hey members, the people have spoken, we need this done. We are trusting in you guys to organize what we would like to have happen. You have the recommendations, so please give us that transparency and not just say, oh, it's going to take 10 years, it's going to take 15 more years. No, we want accountability. Within 2 years, we promise the people that we're going to get this part done. Within 2 more years, we promise we're going to get this part done. By year 5, we have the Freedmen Bureau, and all these things have been checked off the list, and these are the people that agree. And the ones that don't, they're going to be held accountable to the people. And I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Omolara. I have the brother right now.
So you asked me how I think the meeting was, and I would say they didn't really take our concerns seriously. It seemed like they were doing a lot of deflection tactics. They weren't really interested in hearing from the people. And I had to tell them straight up, you're not insulated from the consequences of your decisions, because to me and most of the people in this building, it seems like white people, Gavin Newsom or whoever the people that you are answering, whoever you have to answer to, are using you to do things they can't do directly. So that black face in a high place, the symbolism over substance nonsense is not going to be tolerated. These folks in these positions have to be reminded who they serve. And when they forget that, there's going to be political consequences and consequences that stem beyond political, period. So how I feel the meeting went, I feel like it was a lot of deflection. They didn't want to be held accountable. They didn't want to have to answer for the actions. And they want to continue to use delay tactics. Black people are not political property. We're not going to be used as cannon feeder for the bullshit that they are trying to continue. They know reparations are owed. They know that they had not only the duty but the authority to move forward with those bills. If Gavin Newsom didn't want to sign it, he gonna have to deal with the blowback. And Black America is watching. So his political ambitions to become president can be stripped away from him like that. This is not nothing to play with. Gavin Newsom already got his money. He got his $4.4 million of a forgivable PPP loan with a winery that only has 14 employees, while the average winery that got 1.3 had 130 plus employees. Make it make sense. I'm not in his pockets. We already know that, you know, Nancy Pelosi, his relations with her, she's the biggest inside trader in Congress. We're not in their pockets, so stay the out of Black America's pockets. Don't play with this. Reparations is not something to be played with. And they know that. And they will continue to be reminded, because they're going to around and find out that the harms, the terrorism that they're continuing to allow, because that's effectively what they're allowing, the economic sabotage, the school to prison pipeline, the systematic destruction, the crimes against humanity that have been conducted against my people are going to have some severe consequences. And there's not going to be a podium that's going to insulate them from the consequences. Gavin and Newsom, we don't owe them an apology. They owe us apologies for the that they conducted in the Capitol, for the that the Samboism, the symbolism, the tap dancing, and I'm not having it. I'm not one of these people that are going to go along to get along and play games while they sit in our face and laugh and deny us justice that they know damn right we are owed. They're nothing more than black faces in high places. And whatever political ambitions, whatever motive that they're willing to uphold at the expense of the people that look like them, because let me make it very clear, they look like us, but their behavior is not of us, which tells me that they are of the enemy. And that's what I will say throughout this process that I've learned. One of the great things, though, through this process is that California saw black power, and they haven't saw black power in a very long time. They haven't saw black power at the Capitol and for a very long time since the Panthers marched up there. And I believe part of the reasons why they don't want to give us reparations is because they don't want us to be self-sustaining. They don't want us to be in a position to do the things without having to rely on them, to do the things that we could do without needing them to sponsor or support our actions to do those things. They want to continue to use us as political property, because look at all the things we've been able to achieve with the nothing that we have received from these folks. And they don't want us in a position to do the things that we're going to be able to do for ourselves, because then it's going to have to be substance and not symbolism, because we got the mechanisms to have our own self-funded institutions, have our own school system, have our own banking system, and all of that. And all this funny they're doing with the money, the 6 million going to this, out of the 12 million, but they're saying they don't have enough to create a Freedmen agency. The agency needs to be accountable to the black Californians, descendants of slaves, not the governor, not the Black Caucus, because we know the games they're going to play. They're going to put people that look like us in these agencies, but are not for us, and let the money go to nonprofits to keep letting these people get rich. And a perfect example is what Governor Newsom did with his friend that owned Panera Bread with the tax. He didn't want to put the minimum wage requirement tax with his buddy that he went to school with that owned a Panera Bread. And I think it's going to be the same type of mentality. They're going to give money to these universities that don't give a fuck about us, that are not of lineage, that are not of the black Californians here, that are not accountable. 6 million for another study. Well, we already did all this study. We don't have time for another study. What you're really trying to say is you're trying to do a delay tactic. You're trying to say you to black America because you think that the heat has fizzled down now that George Floyd is 4 years in the grave, and it's not. It just amped up. So understand what you're getting yourself into. This is not something to play around with. People have died, and there's going to be consequences for all of this. What I will say also, the wealth is our birthright. We are owed. We are owed. Bloodshed was shed for us to get here. They always want to talk about Martin Luther's dream. They don't want to talk about when he woke up. The over-the-top mountain speech that got hit a bullet in his head. Because when you start talking about economics, that's real power. And the that they want to continue is the symbolism. No apology. Actions speak louder than words. 30-day grocery store closures is not reparations. An extension of the Crown Act so we can wear our hair the way we want is not reparations. So don't call it reparations. You know what reparations is. Don't play with this. And that's what they want to do. They want to be left off the hook. They want to do these delay tactics. They want to have wiggle room so they could be a wiggle worm and wiggle out of the responsibilities that they were elected to fulfill. And that will be cut short so quick than the judgment upon God will go beyond anything than just political. And that's what I have to say as of right now and what I've seen as of this moment.
Say his name.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Tarek. My name is Tarek Pichon. I have been I've always been pro-black. I've always been about my black power, you know, and ever since a young boy, I've been f***ed over by the system. I've been f***ed over by the school to prison pipeline. I was over suspended. I was f***ed with for being black, for being in a society that does not want me to be educated, for being in a society that weaponizes my presence because they understand my power. And so I grew up through California. I grew up through the public school system, which we need to build our own school system. The money, we should not have to pay property taxes for the money should follow the child. When it comes to school funding, we need to have our own school system. So I had the privilege of going to an Oakland, California school and seeing the conditions my people are suffering under in a day-to-day conditions. And these are not conditions that were self-inflicted. These are conditions in terrorism that the government has acted and sanctioned and sponsored upon my people to suffer under. So growing up and seeing this, my parents want the best for me, and I love them to death. They want, in a lot of aspects, they shielded me from certain things, but I've always seen through that. And because I was able to see through that and see how much they struggled and how much they suffered to put food on the table, it puts me in a position, and God has allowed me to be in a position to fight for my people and advocate for my people, not have to go along to get along, not have to answer to a boss to tell me what I can and cannot do, to be able to be in meetings right now and be in a position to fight for my people. So yeah, I'm Tarek Pichon. There's a reason why I was born on Martin Luther King Day. I personally believe that part of my mission is to complete his vision over the top mountains, when he had the over the top mountain speech, which is for us to get our economics, for us to continue to build black power. We have black faces in high places. They did that with Obama, and they continue to do that with people that are committed to us, that look like us, but are committed to a Sambo mentality. And I've had enough. And I've been had enough. My people are struggling, they're suffering, and the blood that has shed will not be shed in vain. So that is who I am, and I'm just so grateful for the work that the organizations that are keeping the pressure. I'm so grateful for the black media that is keeping the pressure and keeping the spotlight on what is going on here in California. Because if they could do this foolishness here in California, believe me, they're going to do this foolishness in every state. But black America is not going to tolerate it, and we're not having it.
All right, just real quick, your socials, and then give the sister.
Absolutely. So TikTok, Tarek Speaks. That is probably the biggest way to reach out to me, TikTok. And yeah, I would say thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Hey.
Yes, ma'am.
How do I follow that, Tarek?
I know, that's kind of
That was really powerful, brother.
I'm just glad.
And this man is going to protect us, too, like I shouted out. I'm Omolara, DJ 00 with Access Sacramento, 96.5 KUBU. Check me out on www.eatprivate.net. We're help building generational wealth. If you need living trust, universal index whole life, PNC, property and casualty. We got all kind of insurances, but that's where we're going to win, is by having ourselves a trust, protecting our assets once we get this reparations money. And like I said to the assembly members there, please stay accountable. We need transparency. We need to have a website where we can see these are the 115 things that were recommended. These 5 things we're going for in the next 6 months to a year. These are the assembly members who have an issue with it. These are the assembly members that are for it. You know, total transparency. So like Tarek said, the people gonna protect this situation. We're going to protect our land. The people, united we stand. We have to stand for protecting our legislators, because they're going to what? Protect us and make sure that they do the job that they say that they were going to do. So with that being said, I hope you guys can rally behind that accountability. Make sure that we can see loud and clear what the plan is, what's the outline, and then check off the list. Okay, we got all this done, got all that done. Now the bill is ready. So we don't go through this ever again.
I want to just build upon that point real quick. We will protect our own. If you do what's right for us and you are of us, we will gladly protect you. If Governor Newsom doesn't want to sign the bill, that's one thing. I also want to make it very clear, too, that California, the eugenics movement that Hitler practiced upon those that are known as the Jews, Hitler learned a lot of the tactics from what was being done to black Californians in California. And he used that strategy against what is known as the Jews. So let's make that very clear that no group of people has went through the terrorism, the human rights violations, the crimes against humanity more than black people. And I really believe black Californians are very high on that list. Another thing, and continue to be, they just had a news break of a terrorist organization in the state of California that was operating by a white woman in Elk Grove that was literally planning to use tactics to create a race war. This government has been infiltrated by white supremacists in every aspect, even on the local level. We need to understand we need to understand the warfare that we face is a multi-layered warfare. It is a multi-tactical warfare, and that the people that look like us are continuing to perpetuate such warfare tactics against us. So I want to just say that we will protect our own. Our interests will always be protected, but don't look like us and get in the way. I'm not saying you have to be for reparations, but don't stand in the way of the ones that are.